Guys, how's it going? Welcome back. This set of heads here was cast up by Curtis and Ramshackle Games and is now available actually on their store, which is amazing. So these heads I sculpted up with polymer clay a while ago, and they were a lot of fun to do, and it was my first time kind of really messing with that scale. And I had messed with a good few of them. You'd probably see them over on the Instagram, and some of them were ridiculous and some of them were, I suppose these are pretty ridiculous too. But Curtis has actually put these up on the store recently, and they're actually available now, which is really cool. And I've already seen a good few people do some really cool like kit bashes and things like this. You kind of see them on Instagram, and I'll recognise these heads being put on a mini, we'll say, which is a bit of crack really. It's nice to see people actually using your stuff. But as you can see here, they're a bit of a weird mix of guys. Let's say I couldn't help but do, obviously, with the stuff that Curtis does. He always promotes kind of using the sprue as well as much as he can to do something interesting with it, be it like a bit of terrain or texture or something you can use for, so it's not thrown out basically and just straight into the bin. So I couldn't help but do some more heads on it, and they kind of turned into some kind of you can nearly turn them and make it into a big totem or something like this, but had a bit of fun with the sprue as well. And I really like some of the ones on the sprue as well, especially this tongue guy or this little worm fella. But because I'll go back a little bit, getting a bit excited, because it's just so cool to see your own stuff out in the wild really and available. But the reason is some people had them already was they were giving out Mates and Minis, the first one. It was actually probably a year or two ago at this stage. But Curtis had kindly cast up a load of these sprues and everything for me to give out to people, which is really good of him. So a few people got them with the other bits, and they might have traded for or whatever, bought at the event, and that's when they started showing up, like I said, on Instagram and stuff, and people making some cool stuff with them. So that was fun to see. But now they're officially on the shop, so I suppose anybody can get their hands on it. But just to go through kind of I don't know, some inspiration, I suppose, as to where they came from. This guy was, I suppose, I was looking for different kind of facial expressions and kind of downtrodden, sad and kind of somewhat weak looking characters that, because a lot of times you see really fierce looking warrior faces and these kind of things, and I wanted something that you could put on your Forbidden Psalm or your really weedy looking mutant, we'll say, just to give him a different head and see what would work. So that's where this kind of grimace came from. And this one was done with I think it was bees putty, which I was kind of getting used to at the time, and it's really nice stuff. I really like it now. Pretty simple, but it's got really nice details to pick out. Like I love picking out with paint, picking out teeth and picking out eyes, and this one is quite nice to do that with. It's not that, crazy detail. I mean, it might look a bit odd if it's on quite a slim body, but if you were to add a bit of green stuff onto, any sort of, it'd be the Frostgrave Mini or any kind of GW guy, like stick him on a Space Marine or something, and you've got a completely different guy, Then you got this kind of guy with the big head here, somewhat pointed ears, but at the same time, he looks worried or he looks afraid. He's not necessarily a very fierce, warrior. Then this guy, kind of a goblin face really, without the big pointy nose, but same thing again. He's very, very, let's say, downtrodden. The teeth are there as well, pretty clearly picked out, so you can add a bit of maybe yellow or brown on them rather than the clean white. And the eyes are plenty big for doing a bit of work if you're amazing on pupils and stuff like that, to pick it out quite easily. And then the next guy will be more of maybe a caster or some kind of strange mutant, potentially a mutant leader, just because he looks a bit more of a, just talking about this guy with the eyes on him, brainy with his big fat head and his 5 eyes on his head, maybe some kind of mystic or magician or something like this. And then the last guy, I think this was the first guy I did, and he kind of got a real air of Gottmog from the Lord of the Rings movies, possibly an orc head, possibly mutant. Could be quite used for a lot of different things, but it just seemed like I had a lot of fun. You probably see going back on the Instagram a good while ago at this stage now, but just sculpting loads of weird heads, and it was a lot of fun at the time, and these were a few that I thought would make sense. And then on the sprue, like, I suppose, this is a bit of a Kev Adams ish, if a bit messy. These maybe didn't have as much time put into them as the actual heads themselves. You know, this kind of goblin-y type grimace could be good for slapping on, you know, a bit of terrain or something like that. You could, if you chopped it up, you could build something around it, make it into a creature itself. This is more of, let's say, an ape. I'd probably use an ape or even a King Kong toy or something as inspiration for that. This guy, I do like the big tongue. Don't really know where that came from, but it's quite useful. If the teeth are a bit, you know, would you say slapdash, but I think it works. This boar guy could be, you know, stick some horns on the side of him. He could be a big minotaur or some hooved creature. He could be used for something. But this guy as well, I don't know why I ended up doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this guy at the angle. I don't really know why I did that. This guy, he's yeah, I do like him. I've seen 1 or 2 cool people using him for weird stuff on Instagram already as well. Just him popping up out of nowhere and stuff like that. So this is available on Ramshackle Games right now, and if you do buy it and you do make something cool with it, you know, tag me in it, because I want to see what you come up with. So these are some things that I've come up with basically, and these few things, like this guy is good to go. Bang him on a base, you know, and he's your Diglett. If you buy a few sets of these, or if you would want to do that, you could have a whole squad of these little guys, you know what I mean? And or you could just give him some arms and legs and you're away. You know, you could use them for something he's busting out of the ground, big fat worm, whatever you want to use them for. This was, or is, a Reaper Miniatures miniature. So it's that kind of weird plastic, but I put the Gottmog head on him and painted him up. He does look very much like Gottmog. I think I probably did the pale skin and the eyes and stuff like that. Or, well, you can't really see the eyes, but the red and the mutated or disfigured part of the face to air that. So this could be used as, I would say, a Gottmog, if a bit heavily armoured. But he was a lot of fun to put together. Really easy to convert or kitbash, because the head really does the work. This was a few bits from Frostgrave and stuff like that to make some kind of mystic. Could be cool for, like I said, I suppose Frostgrave, or even a bit like a Psyker from 40k or something, if I was given the little pistol or something here as a backup. But he was quite cool. Just the big head makes me think that he's some kind of like Psyker or something like that, magic user. This guy, the classic Emperor or Empire rifleman from Fantasy, I couldn't even tell you what edition, but as you can see, it's very easy to pick out the eyes. And this goblin guy here, this poor foot troop, and that's a Frostgrave bit as well, but it works. He got his foot out as well, even though that foot is a lot bigger than that. Whatever, don't worry about it, but it does suit, I think. And I'm really happy with the slightly exaggerated expression, but it really reads at a good distance, you know what I mean? When you're looking at him tabletop, this little, I was going to say Napoleonic, but I wouldn't be too sure. This fella, and just cut the head off what was there and stuck him on. This poor trooper, he looks a bit lost and a bit helpless. But yeah, this is my level of painting, we'll say. But I think they can be a lot of fun to stick on something, and, you know, be it on a Space Marine or something like that. Actually, do you know what? I'd actually totally forgotten about this guy. Yeah, so I had used the head, and this is on the, I suppose, one of the more classic Chaos Warrior bodies. I think this warrior body was given to me by young Trent over in Miscast while I was over there for Mates and Minis, with all the other mad bits he gave me as well, which is sound of him. But yeah, so it really works well. And even this shield was from Ramshackle Games, is from Berserker Works, I'm pretty sure. Did some cool shield as well. Very chaosy. Could be a bit Orc and Goblin as well, but works well with this guy. So as you can see, his kind of fat head, fat cheeks, we'll say, fit on these bigger bodies quite well, and I like him a lot. He's pretty sweet. Then the last one here, this is another one, I suppose, from my time over in Nottingham as well. This is a 3D print from Trent at the time, was putting together this big, tall, Minotaur looking fella. And he was doing these prints, and some of them, you know, as they were testing, they weren't working out amazing while he was working out the chinks in the process. So I got some of these offcasts or whatever that weren't 100%. So I cleaned this one up anyway and gave him some ears. But onto the ears, I suppose, yeah. I used this bit, obviously, for the head here, I'm really happy with how he came out. The ears are actually casts from an Action Man toy. That's why they're so big. But I really like how it's come together in the end, and the expression is just great. If this is going to focus for me, yeah. So I really like this guy. I had fun with the oils as well. He's dried up ages and ages now, and for some reason he's very leaning back. But I don't know, I really like him anyway. Really fun guy. But yeah, so this set of heads is available at Ramshackle Games. And like I said, if you do end up picking it up and you make something cool with any of it at all, tag me, and I'd love to see what you do. Thanks for watching anyway, and I'll catch you in the next one. Good luck.